Chainlink has seen a fair amount of volatility, and well, it's presenting itself with one hell of an opportunity. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts and opinions as to where I think Chainlink's Link token is heading in terms of its price on the short, medium, and long term. As I get into today's video, if you find it useful, smash the like button. If you're new, subscribe, and let's jump right down into the charts and review what's going on with Chainlink. So here we have Chainlink paired up with USDT. This is the one-day Binance chart. And well, we had this fantastic five-wave move to the upside where we saw this great peak just up here. I'm going to go snap this on at $22.87. Since then, we've had a pretty big correction to the downside. But what we want to do is we want to ascertain whether or not this is complete or whether we should be expecting further downside. So let's go ahead and review this price action. So here we can see a very corrective pattern, but is looking like it's impulsive towards the end. This is pretty typical of something that would be known as a 335 correction from an Elliott wave theory point of view. Okay, so we'd have a move to the downside, bounce up, and then a five-wave drop. Now, typically, and I use the word typically because there's no hard and fast rule about this, but typically the this kind of C-wave structure that would end between 1 and 1.236 on the Fib scale. So what we do is we measure the distance here of the first wave structure. We move it over to the bounce just here, which has a wick high sat at $15.20, and then we move on down and we see where the price action went. And in this particular case, you can see that we finished right inside that expectation between 1 and 1.236, $7.67 to $8.74. So this particular move did not show us with anything that was irregular or unusual. You'll also notice that this big yellow box area on the chart right here, this is typically the wave 2 retracement, meaning that what I've been plotting here is a big break to the upside on Chainlink. And all of this is just a correction taking us into this range, which is a typical range for what we would call a wave 2. Okay, a wave 2 is something that would happen after a wave 1. Essentially, we have this little wave 1 over here, we have a wave 2, and you can see the depth of this wave 2 is very similar to the depth of what we see going on here, only it's on a much bigger scale, right? This is a daily time frame. Every one candle represents one day. And so we had this little wave 1 up here, a wave 2, and a big wave 3. 4, and then finishing with a 5. Okay, so what I'm saying is that this is wave 1, all of this is a wave 2, meaning that a wave 3 is the next big run to the upside. This is important because it means that this is where you do your accumulation, okay? And whilst the price is hanging around down here, that's where you want to be buying, and you want to obviously sell significantly higher. But the question is, of course, are we going down deeper? We've hit our expected range, but is it enough to kind of hold, or are we thinking, actually, we're more than likely going to be pushing down even further? Well, taking a look at that structure, and as I mentioned earlier, it looks to me like it's ending in a five-wave pattern, meaning that we should be expecting one more move to the downside, meaning it's going to potentially expand a little bit further than that typical range, meaning that my new target for Chainlink still sits right here between 1.236 and 1.618, which would be $6.74 to $7.54. That there is my range where I think we are likely to go. And you'll notice that it still sits within this bigger yellow box parameter between 580 and 1092. Okay, this will be a five-wave drop. Let me go ahead and draw it on so you can see what I'm actually looking at it mentally in my head. You have a big wave 3 up for a 4 and down into a 5. This essentially becomes an A, if I can actually get the right tool, an A, B, and C structure. That there then is actually a part of a bigger correction, which we can see here. And I'm going to go use a WXY for this one, just for the sake of making it a little bit different. And you can see that this is a little bit irregular. It's a little bit deeper. So we might find ourselves with another three-wave bounce and an additional three-wave move to the downside to complete what would be known as a W, X, Y, X, and Z. But ultimately, what I'm saying and what I'm trying to convey, probably poorly, you can let me know in the comments if this is making sense to you guys, essentially is that this area between $5.80 and $10.92 is the area that I think we want to be accumulating in. As long as we stay above $4.76, we're in a very strong position for Chainlink. This is a huge opportunity to accumulate as much Chainlink as we possibly can. So fantastic opportunity here that we don't want to necessarily miss out on, because if we are tracking a wave 2, that next big run to the upside is going to be absolutely phenomenal. Let's maybe roll this up into a weekly time frame just so you can kind of see the context of what I'm talking about here. Okay, you can see also some of the previous workings. I'm going to go remove those. As we can see here, if we are tracking what I think we are, we're going to be looking for a phenomenal run to the upside. The run to the upside is likely to be, I'm just going to put this around $6.99 just as an approximate area. It's going to be towards $88 on a 1.618, and that's not even finishing the structure. That's just where we would expect to see a brief retracement before finishing off with another fantastic surge to the upside. So to me, this looks like a very good, strong position for Chainlink. Now, if we take into consideration everything that we saw before, and we kind of think about history repeating itself, Chainlink is going to be in a phenomenal position to do phenomenally well. As we can kind of see here, if we take that existing low, we could be looking at some really high numbers for Chainlink, around $700. Now, obviously, Chainlink has been building out some phenomenal partnerships during the kind of bear market, and we've seen so many integrations, and real-world assets require a lot of real-world data. So I think as these sectors start to grow, Chainlink is going to explode exponentially. So the question becomes, are you buying Chainlink? Are you stacking it up? And are you getting ready for one hell of a ride? You can let me know in the comments down below. And also, you can join our free Discord server where we can continue the conversations. All the links are in the description down below. Guys, if you found this useful, informative, smash the like button. If you're new, subscribe. And if you haven't done so yet, check out my second channel just here. And I talk about Cardano's technical analysis.